Hi there, and welcome to Villa Di Maria Montessori School's very first video podcast. I'm Carrie Tallon, the Director of Education at Villa Di Maria, and I will be hosting our inaugural episode, Getting Ready for the Montessori Children's House. So during the summer, we get a lot of questions from families that are looking ahead to the upcoming school year. They're curious and eager to know more, especially around helping their child prepare for the transition to school. To answer these questions, we thought we'd bring in a couple of our resident experts. Joining us today will be two of our incredible Children's House guides. I'd like to introduce you to Miss Heather Steinman and Mrs.Robyn Milos. Robyn is the lead guide in our Primary 1 community, and Heather is the lead guide in our Primary 3 community. Together, they have an astounding 42 years of experience in Montessori. A number we can't quite believe. Most of which has been in the classroom environment and as guides at Villa Di Maria. And not only are they guides at Villa, they are parents too. Robyn has a child entering his final year in our upper elementary community, as well as two grandsons at Villa, one in one of our lower elementary environments and one in one of our children's houses. And Heather has a child entering her second year of lower elementary, along with her youngest child, who is also in the children's house. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here today.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm excited.
All right, well, let's jump right in. One of the most frequent questions we receive is regarding the special start date. Would you talk a little bit about the importance of the special start date and why each individual child needs one?
You want me to start with that one?
Sure.
Okay. So, generally, I guess I would say the easiest answer to that is that they get our full attention. They have a full day to themselves, basically, with the guide, right? We talk about the fact that the guides, at home, the parents are that child's person, if you will. And then when they come to school, we sort of, as the guide, as the adult in the room, we are bridging that child into the environment. We are becoming their person at school, right? So while there's a whole lot of children already there, because those children are already up and running and already have what they know how to do, that special time, that one day that's just their day, they're the only new person there, gives us the time to spend more time with just that child. Not just giving lessons, but even, introducing them to other children, showing them around the room,
All of the routine,
and just really solidifying that, here I am your person, right?
Yeah.
You want to
Absolutely.
go on with that? There's more, definitely.
I would say the greatest benefit of the special start date is just that, is them having their connection to us as their guide. And that's a big leap of faith on the behalf of the family side and the child side, coming to us. And it's important that we have that time to invest in that relationship building from the start, and that we're there to show them the routines from coming in and where to put your things, and coming in and how we good morning the community, how we we find all the things and how we greet everyone and greet the pets, and that it's a nice organic start to the day, and that it's very comfortable in that way. And having that day with what I consider to be the luxury of time that we have afforded to this one child for this day, it allows us to comfortably walk them through the restroom routine and the snack routine, and if they stay all day, the lunch and recess and nap routines. And there's a lot to it. It's a whole lot for a child to take on in one day, and it's always very important to us that we're there for them on that day, and we can walk them through all the wonderful parts of the children's house. In addition to that, introducing them to several different activities or lessons. I like to use those two words interchangeably, but several different things that they can engage with and that they can do in the classroom, so that they have leaps forward in comfort the next day when they come back, and we say, oh, you remember these things over here. You can choose those.
Right.
So.
Because that next day they come in, next question being, well, what about that next day, right? The next day they come in, they have some things. They're excited to see those things again, and they have some things they can do.
And they will have older children to kind of mentor them along as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's the best part. That's the best part of coming into an ongoing environment.
Yeah.
Everyone always questions like, oh, how could there be just just 2, just 3 adults and all these children, you know. It's very simple because we have all these beautiful role models who are at this great big advantage, you know.
Yep, for sure.
So parents are often curious as to what their child will do during the school mornings for 3 whole hours. It's a long time.
Nothing. They'll tell you nothing,
Yes.
right?
I didn't do anything
I
in
didn't
school
do anything today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So can you explain the importance of the 3-hour work cycle and all that happens throughout that time in the morning?
Well, we arrived at the 3-hour work cycle, we being a collective Montessori community, from honestly just Dr. Montessori's observations and her international and lengthy, deep observations of children, that is the optimal amount of time that they can concentrate on a variety of activities, and how it ebbs and flows, and that time period was the best and most productive for them. So that's how we arrived at 3 hours. It wasn't arbitrary in any way. Right? Now, over decades and decades and decades of children across the world, we have just validated that to be true and to always have maintained. And now, between the two of us, we've lived 42 years of it, as we've established, and that is what we would say is the sweet spot with the children. Now, what does it look like when the children come in the morning and they do their good mornings to the community, right? All of the routines tied into that. It's a very natural start that each child comes in and they do all of their routines, and then they come in to choose whatever activity they like to start with. Oftentimes, children come in and they have a favorite thing that they do first in the morning. Other times, children have their mind set on something when they come in the morning that they've been introduced to the day before, and they thought about it all night, and they're very excited about it, and they're eager to get that out because it was new to them, what have you. And then the 3 hours begin for them. They come to their comfort thing. They rotate through different things that they know. They do say good morning to all their friends. They do say good morning to all the pets. Oftentimes, the very most important thing is they check and see what is for snack that day. It's very, very critical, right?
Huge part of the day.
So the children choose activities that are on the shelves that are available to them that they have had a lesson on or a presentation on. We also use those words interchangeably, that they've been shown how to use. That's what we could say. So they're practicing with materials they've been shown how to use. They're being observed by their guide. And this is when we have our opportunity to come in and show them the next thing with that lesson. We observe that they are gaining mastery upon it, and we interject in to give them a little bit more challenge. Or we observe that they're having difficulty with something, and we interject ourselves in to show them the little piece that's missing so that they can move forward with the activity. So that's part of intertwined with our job as the guide to help them along. Also, throughout that time in the 3-hour work cycle is when they are invited to new activities. Right? That's when we engage them in, I have something new to show you today. Come with me. That's like the golden ticket, right? That's the best thing that's ever happened in the day. Woven into that time, they have snack. They have snack when it's available and when they're interested. So there isn't a set time. They have snack in pairs. They use the restroom as needed. So there isn't a set time for the restroom. That is interwoven in there as well. Right?
Yeah.
And it flows right along through the 3 hours.
It does. It does. I think a huge aspect of it too, especially for the very youngest ones that are coming to us, is just the complete awe of a small community. So there's just so much to watch.
And learning how to be a part of that small community.
And learning how to be a part of the community. So literally just watching all of these other children doing things, watching, the adults doing things with the children, watching the children doing things with the children. And again, I think, of course, they're going to build this repertoire of things they can do on their own. But in the very beginning, when it seems hard to think of, what is my 3-year-old going to do?
Yeah.
Like, literally, in this space for 3 hours, so much of it is observing.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
just looking at things. And, it's our job to keep tabs on that and help them out if they need it. But usually they don't.
Yeah, watching and listening.
Yeah.
The language, the movement, so many things they take in through their simple powers of observation and that absorbent mind. You mentioned that the children have snack in the morning. Can you tell us a little bit more about snack in the children's house?
Sure. Snack is the best part of the whole day.
It is top priority.
It is top priority for everyone. However, not everyone can have snack at one time. So It falls into place very nicely. It's really great, again, to have that returning community who's already familiar with the routine. But each day we prepare a snack. So generally we have had a certain snack for a period of time, and it consists of like a fruit or a vegetable and a cracker, or even 2 vegetables, something like that. So there are things to prepare, and usually the assistant will get with the children at the snack table and, peel the apples, cut the apples, core the apples, or take the grapes off of the vine, or whatever needs doing, taking the crackers out and putting them into bowls where they can serve themselves snack. Once snack is ready, the children can have snack, like Robyn said, 2 at a time at a snack table. They know it's available when there's a seat available, when the seat is open. You'll hear the word available at home. You can
Many
use it
times.
in your own repertoire. It's
Yes.
a beautiful word. And then when it's their turn, when they do get to have their turn, they go and they find their name tag. They put their name tag on the table so that no one else will come and take their space, go wash their hands, serve themselves some snack, and sit down at the snack table. They can also, have a drink, water, and then have snack with another little friend.
Absolutely. I think
It's the mechanics of it anyway, I guess you would say.
I think
There's a
what-
lot to it.
there is a lot to it, and I think that's one of what the youngest children, they probably go home and talk about snack a lot on the front end because it's new to them. Many of them are experiencing for the first time that freedom of serving themselves, not just the snack, but the beverage, getting the dishes and setting it out, and then truly gaining comfort in, once they've placed their name tag here, that spot is saved for them while they go and wash their hands and gather their things for snack. And nothing's going to happen, right? Like, it's okay. It's okay that I step away. And then also, internalizing the comfort that there will always be enough snack for you, even if you're not the first person, second, even if you're having snack at 10:30, which would be great. That'd be a great fun thing to happen. That's always enough for you, because it's just like dropping off at the door, right? And we're telling them, your parents are going to come back at whatever time, 11:30, 1 o'clock, 3:30, whenever. They have to live that a few times so that they entirely trust and believe what all of us are telling them. They're going to come back for you. This is the same. We tell them there will be enough snack for everyone and you will get a turn.
Right.
They have to live it, that you will get a turn. And that's, I think, a profound thing for the youngest when they come into the children's house.
Definitely. And once they live that cycle after a few days or weeks, then they start to tune into, I'm feeling hungry now. Is
Yeah.
snack
Yes.
available?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
they start reading their own signs, their own experiences within their own individual movement and activity within the environment during the work morning.
Yeah. And then it settles in as they get older. What you come to see that naturally they do have snack later because they know it's there. They know it's available for whenever and that they will get a turn.
And that frees them up to dive deeply into their own individual work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it also opens up, which I think we can talk about too with lunch, but it opens up to this whole, having polite conversation, manners with eating, and also setting up and cleaning up your own spot. They clean up when
Very
they're
much.
finished. They crumb the table for the next person. They put their dishes away, all of the things. So
And they do. So the way it works out then is they do have snack with often a different person, right? Sometimes they might be at the snack table where the person has switched mid-snack.
Yeah.
So they may
Yeah.
have had snack with technically 2 different people on the
different
same day, But this is how they rotate through, just like you're saying, with the etiquette of sitting with another person and having polite conversation and finding things that they have in common and hold their conversations. So if you could be a fly on the wall,
Yeah.
you would choose to sit by the snack table where all the amazing conversation happens.
it's true.
It's true.
Very true. Miles, when I asked Miles who was snack when he says, I don't know. Not so much at the end of the year, but in the beginning, I don't know. But he could tell me what they talked about.
Yeah.
Right. So when parents are early in their, we should have said this back when we were talking about the special start date, but when their child has their special start date, we as the guide are going to reach out to the parent at the end of that day and give them some clues of pieces to discuss with their child, like things that we did introduce them to, who they had snack with, who they sat with for lunch, so that they have these little, I would call them nuggets for conversation with their child.
Conversation
And so,
pieces.
so snack opens up to the perfect one, right? Like, you want your child to tell you a little bit about their day. They were really and truly just living their day, so it doesn't stand out. They don't experience it the way the rest of us do. But it never fails if you say, what was for snack today? And who did you sit with?
Yeah.
They know. And then all of a sudden they're back in the moment and they're reliving like, oh, I had snack with Ash today and he was telling me about Paw Patrol and things that's how they find the things they have in common.
Yeah.
You know? And they're amazed every time that, oh, my grandma knows this, and oh, my grandma's from there too, and all the things they have in common.
The little connections that they make throughout the mornings and the weeks. So in the same manner, would you talk a little bit about the restroom in the children's house?
Oh, the restroom in the children's house. So this is another big point of, I don't guess, what's the best way to say it? Point of transition, right? This is something that's going to be different from in the home. We use a restroom sign, not the way we're thinking of it like posted, but it's a restroom sign that hangs in each one of the classrooms, and that helps us to facilitate just one child in the restroom at a time, right? So what we say to the children, and then we demonstrate as they're new, and we work through this with them several times, so it's not just like a one-time guided tour, but as much as they need in the beginning. There's a sign over here. So when you feel that urge that you need to use the restroom, you can glance across the room and you know where to look. Here's the hook over here. Is the sign available? If it's available, that tells you, oh, it's available for me. Then you can leave your work and it will be fine. No one's going to touch it while you're gone, which they experience, right? Then they can go to the restroom sign and take it with them, go into the restroom, hang it on a hook that indicates, oh, like it's not vacant.
Occupied,
right?
Occupied.
This room is occupied. And so then they use the restroom as needed on their own. So in their beginning days, as we were mentioning, giving them guided tours of these things, we're going to show them, we're going to walk them through this process several times in the beginning days so they can gain comfort. They're going to go into the restroom independently and use the toilet. That's pulling down their pants, pulling up their pants alone. That might include using a step stool to get on and off of the toilet on their own. That might include a step stool to the sink, depending on the exact height of that young person coming in, right? And how to wash their hands properly, how to flush properly, how to handle the entire restroom situation on their own. Because as a norm, we do not go in the restroom with the children. That all entirely happens on their own. So we're guiding them through the first few days and giving them help as needed, just for that short amount of time until they're independent on their own. So now we're sitting here talking with parents to help them, how best can I help my child get ready for school?
Yes.
Right? And this is one of the larger pieces, to make sure that they're handling, not only reading the cues on their own, which is very important. You know, we as parents sometimes, we don't recognize how much we are cueing our young person for their need to go to the restroom, but we kind of need to back out of that so that they can read those signs on their own, because we, as a norm, do not cue the children to go to the restroom. We just help them in their early days.
Yep.
Right, to make sure that they're not overlooking their needs because of their vast interest in everything going on around them.
Sure,
Right.
yes.
Right.
Yeah, it is a new thing for most children to have to wait for the
yes.
bathroom, especially if you're new to using the bathroom, because as parents, it is the most important, right? If they're
We
going to
stop
go, we
everything,
want to stop
yes.
everything and let them go to the bathroom, which, we aim for as well, but there really may be somebody in that bathroom. So that is something that can take some practicing and could work to your child's benefit if it has been practiced a little bit, You may have to wait or anticipating having to go. Even just conversation around it, I think, can be helpful.
Okay. So at 11:30 each day after the 3-hour work cycle, the children gather to eat lunch. What does lunchtime look like in the children's house?
Well, I love lunchtime, I'll say that.
More polite conversation.
More polite conversation, indeed.
A lunch allows enough time to solve world peace.
Yes,
the
right.
children do when they're together. Yes. Snack is too brief.
We just have to make sure we eat our lunch at the same time.
Yes.
Again, it involves some mechanical setup. We use real plates, we use real glasses, we use placemats, napkins, utensils if they're needed, and the children set that up on their own. It can be, in the beginning, again, it's guided a little bit, but usually the older children that are returning kind of know what to do. Name tags are placed, and the tables are set up around the room. They're cleaned and set up. Once the children wash their hands and get their lunch boxes and they're collectively ready to eat, we all sit down together. The adults also eat lunch at this time. We all eat together. And then they take out their lunch. So in their lunch boxes, they'll be taking out the things from their lunchbox and putting them on the plates that are set on the table, taking the things out of the containers and putting them on plates, and putting everything back in their lunchbox to be, set beside. And then again, just sitting and eating their lunches pretty independently, because we're all eating.
Yep.
And they're sitting in the chairs that we use, in the classroom. They're just at the work tables, so that they are free to get up if they need to, but there is a 30-minute window that we eat in, and it is important that they do sit to eat during that time. So I think another thing to think of ahead of time is that is your child having the opportunity at home to sit freely, have the opportunity to get up, but stay seated and eat. Also, within a period of time.
Sure.
I know sometimes for young children, mealtime can go
Last
on and
for-
on and
yeah.
on and on and on, and I understand that. I am a mom. I get that. But we do want them to be able to eat so that they can go outside and have fun, and if they stay, especially, to be able to come back
certainly.
if they're napping or staying for the afternoon, they need that good energy of all of their healthy lunch that you sent along with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as much opportunity as they can have before school begins to practice all of the pieces that go into that. We as parents have evolved from when they were so dependent and so young. Sometimes we don't always see the pieces
Continue
of
with those
evolution.
supports.
Yes,
Yeah.
to guide them
Yeah.
toward their independence. So if they are accustomed to sitting in a high chair strapped in, or sitting in a booster seat, that's what Heather's mentioning, that they haven't had the freedom to get up with the expectation that they sit there, right? That's what they have here, and that can at times be difficult for children if they have this other situation at home, and now suddenly they're in a situation where we're like, oh no, we are all going to sit down and enjoy a meal together, right? So that can be difficult for them. The other pieces that are great to practice, as Heather was mentioning, they open their containers and they put their food on their plate.
Yeah.
We will assist them in the beginning,
Sure.
but one of the best things to do would be to practice with your child opening those containers. So you're going to choose containers, right, when you're shopping the wonderful back to school sections that you're
That are
choosing
already out.
that are
Everywhere.
out on July 4th every year.
Yeah.
But that you're practicing with your child, and they might not be able to do it at first, but that's why it makes it better to practice at home, opening those exact containers and putting their things on their
Yeah.
lunch plate.
Yeah.
And the reverse side of that happens as well. On our side, we're going to show them to put whatever food they have not eaten back in their containers so that it is returned at home, so you can see what they are and are not eating
Right.
for lunch. So if you're introducing new foods to your child, introducing those definitely as a dinner or breakfast or on the weekends would be best, so that you have a greater feel for things that they enjoy eating,
Yes.
or don't,
Yes.
so that they're
With the exception of yogurt. I'm not putting yogurt back in the lunchbox.
yes, that's
That will
true.
go in the trash.
Yogurt
Yes.
does not go back home.
Yes,
I'm not doing that to you.
half-eaten bananas and
Yeah.
applesauce containers. Yes, they don't go back
They
in.
don't
But
go back.
But so partially eaten sandwiches
Yes,
or
yes.
quantities of any kind of fruit, like
Yeah.
blueberries and strawberries, those kinds of things would go
Yeah.
back.
Yes.
Anything that can go in a container.
yes, so we
basically.
Got it,
we
yeah.
promote reusable containers.
Yes.
Heavily.
Yes.
And one of the perks of having those reusable containers
Mm-hmm.
is just this, that we can send that food, back home with them. So we
Yeah.
do have child-sized utensils for their use here, and we encourage the use of them when needed. One of the only things that I've found over the years, two things that I've found over the years that are very difficult for children during lunch are what is referred to as go-gurts, right? So that's yogurt in a tube. While it is probably super fun at home and at picnics, and they're really great when you freeze them, by the way, because then you get yogurt popsicles. So
Yes.
good. But it's very difficult to navigate at lunchtime. and it kind of takes away the opportunity of them to eat that yogurt with a spoon.
Yes.
So that's a difficult lunch item that is marketed as a lunch item that's hard for us. And the other one is the fruit cups that are filled with liquid with a plastic peel back top. Obviously that's difficult because the child cannot do that on their own, and they squirt out when you open them.
I can't open them.
Yeah, right.
Difficult, and juice goes everywhere.
And juice goes everywhere. So if you have those and that's an option in your family, it's best to open them and put them into a different container, and probably to drain out some of that juice to set the child up for success enjoying lunch amongst their community.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so as a quick follow-up question about lunch, is there anything you might add about what to pack or how food allergies are approached and managed in the children's house?
I've probably hit with a lot of detail right there that we could have saved for this night, but we're going to have a back to school orientation night very close to when school starts, and then we'll answer with that great level of detail about Go-Gurts and fruit cups then. But then we can answer more of those detailed conversation pieces as well. As far as allergies go, and I know people do, and thank families for reaching out so early about such things.
Yes.
It is important that we have had those discussions. We do set up an intake conference with each family with us, and that'll be in August. We will reach out to the families, and then we'll set up a time together to talk. We want to hear all the important things about their children, and allergies being a very important piece of that. And then we can discuss kind of what they are and the steps that are needed within that environment. We don't restrict, is that fair to say? We're not restricting anyone else's lunch, but we do need to know what is important for your child in an allergy type situation.
Perfect. So, after lunch and free time to play outdoors, the younger children that stay awake all day, they nap inside their community, in the children's house. It's a lovely and sweet little time. Can you talk a little bit about it and how it works?
Yeah. Do you want to start?
I can. It is.
We have all the same answers.
Yes.
We all do the same thing. We can tell you that it's one of the most amazing times of the day. We love it. It's so sweet because we used to nap. The children that used to stay for nap went to a separate cabin. So we, as guides in the classroom, we weren't privy to their sweet angel faces as they were sleeping. And now we get to see them in our environments. And that was just one of those most wonderful things that we turn to. And it's so great. So we enjoy that part of the day. So how we navigate this situation in our classrooms. When the children are out playing, one of the assistants or guide, we kind of tag team on some of these things, and we arrange the cots inside the classroom. We kind of set them up off to one of the sides, kind of a low traffic area of the classroom for the afternoon, and we set that aside. We close the curtains there to make it just a little bit darker right where they're resting. And then we set up their cots. The children bring their napping things from home, and we have them all set out there, and then we'll trickle in the children that are going to stay for nap from the playground at 1 o'clock. So they kind of come in a few at a time, so they have an opportunity to use the restroom and wash up, and of course get their drinks and get all settled in and snuggled up with their items on their cot, at which time the assistant will be with them to help them settle in and settle down to rest for the afternoon. Then the remaining children, the oldest children, the children that have been invited to stay up in the afternoon, come in from the playground. So then we're all together in the class in the afternoon, where the children are napping off to the side and the other children are over in the classroom, active, engaging in another work cycle and another work period, and they're guided into their lessons over there.
Yeah.
We do use sound machines and or soft music to kind of create that environment on the side where the children are napping. It's a little bit darker, and then the assistant is with them as they're settling in and available to help them settle as needed. The assistant does not stay with them for the duration of the time, but is available if, and not all of the children do need a little bit of support laying down like that.
Or sometimes somebody needs to get up and use the restroom or things like that.
So looking at this situation where we're offering families advice on how to help their child get ready for school, this also is another interesting transitional piece to look at. So what your child has experienced in terms of laying down at home versus what it's going to look like here. So each child has their own cot, they have their own things on that cot, but they have the freedom to get up if they need to, use the restroom, right? So looking at the way they experience it at home, does your child lay down on their own? It's almost like lunch in a way, right? Have they had the freedom to get up, but the expectation to lay down? Because this is very much that situation.
Yes.
So if they have been in a crib situation where they haven't had that freedom to get up and use the restroom, or that expectation that this is the time to lay down, this could pose a challenge for the child in this transition, in this bridging time.
Yes. And I think also too, we darken the room a bit. We have the soft sounds, the music, that kind of thing. However, it is not a pitch black silent room with loud white noise, you know. So if that is something that your child is used to, it may be a good idea to start introducing some
peeling back some of those layers
so that they can be successful and get the rest that they need, because they do still need that rest. It's just a little bit of a different
environment. There's a little bit of quiet activity going on, and peeling back some of those supports would be helpful for this transition.
And I would say generally, I've had people ask, how does it work? It's beautiful. It's lovely.
It
and
is.
The older children they come in and do their work. They're kind of worn out from being outside, or the weather is a thing. They're either coming in to get warm or coming in to cool down, and so they kind of come in and settle in pretty quickly. Anyway, it's usually the beginning is a very soft, quiet time.
Yes.
And we talk to them, and they keep their voices down. I mean, as the afternoon goes on, the volume tends to go up a bit, but it really does work very nicely.
It is.
So children will have the opportunity to sleep from the time they come into recess, roughly about 1 until about 3 o'clock. And that's when, if they're still asleep, that's when they're gently brought back to consciousness.
Yes. Yes.
And then they put away their things and they move through that kind of independent care at the end. Yeah,
absolutely.
Usually another trip to the bathroom.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how it all begins.
Yeah.
It begins and ends with a trip to the restroom. Yeah. But it's like everything else in the Children's House. We are always at the advantage because we are consistent.
Yes.
We are consistent in our routines. We are consistent in our mannerisms and in our expectations. So, it's so important for us that we get started right.
Yes.
Because we're setting a pattern for all the days to come, and that's what allows them the comfort to truly be themselves. This consistency.
Yeah.
So when we're meeting with new families after school has started, we get back together again, and we have one of our wonderful parent education opportunities about when we talk about bringing Montessori home, which is a can't miss wonderful opportunity,
don't miss
right?
that.
That's the best.
Right. Then parents always share stories with us about what the children are bringing home and things that they notice in the children, and it warms our hearts because we're like, yes, they are settling into the routines here, and everything is easier. But we also share with them that we know that's why this is easy for us. I mean, if and when you observe in a Montessori Children's House, you leave thinking, what is the magic happening in this place?
Right.
I mean, and I'm biased in every way, but it is magical. But it's magical because they come in with an absorbent mind and they just soak in these consistent routines. You as the parent have been evolving with them all along. Your job is always harder.
Yes.
Because you're always trying to seek and find that room for growth where we have a built-in system for it.
Yes.
So, anyway, we're glad everyone's coming on board.
All right, so I guess finally, are there any items or supplies the parents need to begin gathering from home or purchasing that the children will need to bring with them to school?
Yes, and we will definitely talk more about that at orientation too, but there are some things you may need to purchase, so it might be good to start thinking about ahead of time. Number one, the children use inside shoes in the classroom.
Yes.
We work on the floor and outside our playground. This is a little thing that you're going to find out. They get pretty dirty on our playground, so I like to try to keep the inside as clean as we can. So anyhow, they wear inside shoes. They come in the morning. That's part of their first thing that they do when they walk in is they change into their inside shoes. These are shoes that they can put on and take off independently. We have run into some issues with Crocs.
Yes.
They
Crocs and flip-flops are very difficult.
Flip-flops. let's just say no to flip-flops altogether. But Crocs, I think, looked great because they were slip-on and things, but children tend to kind of fall. They kind of stick on the floor a little bit. So the style of shoe that I think works best is like a Tom's type of shoe. They have the Velcro that opens, or like a Velcro sneaker. They don't need to be fancy. They don't need to be flashy. They don't even need to be new if you have something extra that works. Just something that fits nice and that they are at least working at putting on independently. With all the things that we've talked about, we're going to meet them where they're at. But we want them to kind of have a little bit of a heads up. You know, it's helpful to them. They'll also need an entire set of clothing for changing. Not just for bathroom accidents. We use lots of water in the classroom. So a full set of clothing that's easy for them to take off and put on also. So underwear, pants, or a skirt, or, you know, bottoms, tops, all the things. Socks. And I didn't say this about inside shoes, but they should be labeled with your name, clothes labeled, like both of the socks.
It's an extraordinary thing.
Label. We can usually help you find the things, right?
Yes.
If they're labeled. If they're not, another thing that we ask you to send them with is something we call a wet bag, and it's for the clothes that get soiled or wet that can go home in, just a zip bag, a lunchbox and water bottle if they're staying for lunch, one that is child-sized, that will fit their lunch, but that they can carry and use themselves. And then if they stay for nap, something that has come across these past couple of years, something it's like a nap roll.
It's so fascinating.
And they are great.
It has the pillow built into it.
Yes.
It's the
It
perfect
covers
thing.
the cot, and then it has a folder. Yeah, it's
and
so
you
lovely.
just roll them up with some Velcro. It's great, but you don't have to have that by any means. It can also just be a pillow and a blanket. We do have sheets for the cots. And some children do need like a lovey or something that they hold on to when they sleep, and that's fine. But it needs to be something that will stay at school for the week. We send nap items home once a week to be cleaned. But it can't be something that goes back and forth from school every day just for making sure they have it purposes.
Yes, those things can often be left at home, and that can be upsetting to the child that is expecting their special stuffy to be inside their nap bag.
It's tragic.
It is.
So let me just say again that all of those things should have your name on them. Or your child's name on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think that about covers our most frequently asked questions that come in during our summer months. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon and for Villa's very first episode. Yay! So I think this does give our new to VDM families a great idea of what to expect and how they can best support their child's transition into the Children's House environments. And as parents, in the coming weeks, you will be receiving information on your child's class placement. And as Robyn had mentioned, information about intake conferences, which is your time to share all the marvelous things about your special little person. And we, of course, have back to school orientation night and our back to school social in August, right before school starts. So this is always such an exciting time for us as we prepare for the new school year ahead. And we really are looking forward to welcoming all of our new families to our Villa di Maria community. So that's all for now. Thanks for tuning in.
Yay.
Thanks so much.